On the phone with us now is David Gaddis. He's the Drug Enforcement Administration's former regional director in Mexico. David, thanks for joining us. This is the second time Joaquin Guzman has escaped from federal custody. As that person pointed out in that news report, this appears to be something that had to be well-financed, well-planned in advance. What do you make of it?
Sure. You don't find other people escaping from a maximum security prison. How is it that Chapo Guzman, who has already escaped once and is facing more crimes since he being an escapee for 13 years, how is he able to escape? Clearly, it goes back to the corruption that is involved, endemic corruption throughout the Mexico prison systems.
And David, on that point of corruption, given what you just said, you know, Mexico's president says that he's confident authorities are going to recapture him. But given the fact that there is, we know, this issue of corruption, that this is a powerful cartel that he is in charge of here, how does the Mexican government go about the process of trying to apprehend him when he could very well have people on the payroll, essentially, who are in positions of power?
His cartel does, in fact, have many people on the payroll. I'll tell you personally, and I'm a big proponent of binational operations and law enforcement. That's the only way to adequately deal with these dangerous cartels. But it's very disappointing, and quite frankly, I'm stunned, although not surprised that this happened. You cannot take somebody of that caliber in the criminal world and treat them as if they're any run-of-the-mill prisoner. And I don't understand why he wasn't guarded by perhaps military forces. It wouldn't cost the military, the Mexican government, a peso more a day to have military soldiers keeping an eye on him day and night. But instead, he's treated like any other prisoner, it appears, in Altiplano, and he uses those vulnerabilities to escape again.
David, I have sort of a two-part question for you. I guess the first one is there are reports out there that the Mexican government resisted calls from the United States to extradite him to the U.S. because if Guzman was in U.S. custody and he started talking about what he knows and who he controls, that would be a major embarrassment for the Mexican government. Is that your take on it? And I'm also wondering, now that he's escaped, how soon is he back in control of his cartel?
Well, I certainly think this is going to be a black eye to the current Mexican administration. But how greater of a black eye? Perhaps you'd have two black eyes if he were, in fact, extradited and sent to a prison in the United States, because there's no doubt that he has had people on the payroll. And that's going to be the question in the future if he ever is caught again, is not only how does he escape from prison, but again, how is he in the position to escape? This never should have happened. And I think that Chapo will, in fact, be able to maneuver his way back into a leadership position. I seriously doubt that he ever lost much position. You can run an enterprise, a criminal enterprise, from prison down there, and I imagine he's just going to, as soon as he's able to get settled in, he's going to be able to start forming his infrastructure and his communication system, and he'll be right back in the seat.
And David, we sometimes report on these stories as if there's some sort of romantic notion to somebody escaping from a prison like this, but this is a brutal and vicious criminal, yes?
Indeed. In fact, what bothers me the most about this is that it's a true dishonor and disservice to the men and women on both governments in Mexico and the U.S. that have worked so hard to disrupt and dismantle the Sinaloa cartel. And everyone thought that when Chapo was arrested the second time that this was the beginning to the end of that cartel strength. But now they've dropped the ball, and we're finding us starting from zero again. To me, it's very, very disappointing and very sad.
All right. David Gaddis with the former regional director of the DEA. Thanks so much, David.